Years ago, and for a long, long time, we would collect cases of paper and deliver them individually to each of the schools. The school starts in August here, and it's really hot, and so we discussed it as a board. Rather than just collecting cases of paper, we thought it would just behoove the K-12 Foundation to receive the $500 to purchase school supplies for the kids that need it or for the classrooms that need it. So that is why we want to reintroduce this effort to our club, because we have the money to do it and we should do it. So that is the motion to donate the $500 to the K-12 Foundation for school supplies. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Having no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion has passed.
So we have 2 minutes for introduction, and then I have 4 questions that were given to me, and then we'll take some from the audience, and they will be our timers. Start with the incumbent first.
My name is Steve Moss. I'm your current District 5 Supervisor. I'm in my first term. I'm married. I have 2 children. I'm a former Marine. I used my Marine money to go to college and then to law school where I earned a scholarship. I came to Mohave County as my first job. I was married here. I've had 2 children here, and I've been working here for the last 21 years. Effectively 21 years this October. As your county supervisor, I've done a few things which I think they're talking about. First off, I have never voted for a tax increase. I'm very proud of that fact. That's what conservatives and Republicans are about. We don't impose taxes unless there's no other choice. Secondly, we have focused on economic development. We have brought, for more recently, 177 jobs to Mohave County through the Dot Food Project in partnership with the Arizona Commerce Authority. We need to do that again, and we need to be more aggressive, because without middle-income jobs, Mohave County will not grow. Thirdly, government transparency, whether it's called to the public, whether it is getting our ordinances organized online. And in that 1 minute, thank you, Gay. Sorry. Organized online so the public can actually see which laws apply to them. The board has actually accomplished that also. One of the biggest issues which faces Arizona, not just Mohave County, but Mohave County is particularly at, is the water issue. Governor Ducey has appointed me to the Arizona Water Banking Authority. I serve on your county, Mohave County Water Authority, and I'm also a member of the Colorado River Sewer Coalition. Is this microphone working, or should I? Intermittent, sounds like government. Anyways, we have to engage with our federal and state officials to make sure that we can have a water supply which is adequate to our current and future needs. Without water, we cannot survive. Without water, we cannot grow economically, and we cannot bring business into our communities. Finally, we have to engage and stay in a partnership with Bullhead City, Lake Havasu, and all the other cities and local governments and state agencies to prevent federal overreach when it comes to our waterways. We've had 2 examples of that in the last year or so, most recently with the refuge restrictions, and a year before that with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife removing the trout unilaterally from the river. We need to stay joined, because together we're strong, separated we will fall. Thank you very much. I'm Steve Moss. I appreciate your vote.
Mic problems, I guess. Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. I'm Sue Donahue, and I'm currently serving as your state senator. And being at the state, I learned how hard it is to get money for rural Arizona. And I have jumped into this race because I am concerned about how the board is spending our money, the projects that they're spending it on, and I have to ask myself, why are we doing this when the state has swept so much money from us? Our roads are in atrocious condition, and any general fund money that we have extra should probably go toward the roads, towards the sheriff's department, towards the employees' pay raises. There's a number of things that I would like to do as your supervisor. Most of you know me. I'm married to my husband, Don. I have 2 children, grown, 3 grandchildren, 1 on the way, and I'm very proud of my whole family. Thank you very much.
question is, what do you bring to the office to help your district?
I bring several things to the office to help me. One is principles. I have conservative principles and common sense that we bring to the job to make sure that we stay within budget, that we provide what services and amenities we can to the public within budget, and that we avoid tax increases. Secondly, I bring my experience. When it comes to being a litigator, and that's what I was for 18 years or thereabouts, you're used to dealing with opposition and legal issues, many of which rebound in the county, whether it's real property, whether it's contracts, whether it's water, because I've litigated a few water cases. All of those come into play. Finally, my education. I have a degree in economics. I was graduated law school. I was a member of law review. So whether it's life experiences, whether it's education, whether it's philosophy, whether it's work ethic, I believe I bring a lot to Mohave County, and I believe my record over the last 3.5 years proves that. Thank you.
We're tired of these things. Agreed, Steve? I'll do my best. I have been a resident of Lake Havasu for 16 years. I know many of you personally. I have met some tremendous people on the campaign trail. And I feel that my experience in Supervisor Johnson's office for 13 years has given me the education necessary to step into the office and do the job immediately. I do not feel that we need to have our general fund money spent in the ways it's been spent. My opponent says he's a conservative, but I have my doubts about that because of the way the monies have been spent on parks, etc. I just think that I can offer you more clarity on what's being offered to the public, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
The Fish and Wildlife is trying to shut down our lake. What, if anything, can you do about it?
The first thing I did was, as a senator, I did write a letter in opposition to U.S. Fish and Wildlife on the buoys that they had placed on our lake. I will continue, as your supervisor, to be diligent in watching, because every now and then, the federal government does a little bit of change and a little bit of restriction on our lake, and it goes by unnoticed. And everybody thinks, oh, that's no big deal. It is a big deal. Our lake is part of our tourism. Our tourism is a driver for our economic development. So I will continue to be vigilant in watching the federal government. Thank you.
I think every single elected official in Mohave County wrote to the Fish and Wildlife and opposed their plan with the refuge. Over the last 40 years since they turned into the refuge, they've steadily increased the restrictions in the refuge. They failed to do their job in maintaining the aquatic and the avian habitats down there, and they're trying to blame the voters for their failure to do their job. It's just going to continue. There's a design that every year, every 5 years, the restrictions get even more so. They did it with the refuge this year. The year before that, they did it with trying to remove the fish from the Colorado River. This is something that's not new. It's going to go on. As I said earlier, if we're going to resist the federal government, we have to partner with the 3 cities. We also have to partner with Arizona Game and Fish and the United States Coast Guard. They all have an agreement with U.S. Fish and Wildlife that they will make joint decisions, including your city, regarding that lake. They violated that agreement. That's one of the reasons they backed off. We have to insist upon our rights. We have to fight. And if necessary, Mohave County will have to litigate with Lake Havasu if they continue these encroachments. The financial repercussions, if we let them get away with this, would be devastating to not just Lake Havasu, but all of Mohave County.
Yeah, for sure.
Next question is, do you support raising any type of taxes?
Right now, the answer would be no. When it comes down to it, philosophically, I'm opposed to the income tax. That means the government owns your labor, so you're partly a slave. I'm opposed to the property tax because that means the government is basically turning you into a tenant of your home. The only tax which I can see philosophically is the sales tax, because you're essentially taxing yourself by the consumption. You want to buy a Maserati, you pay a lot more tax. If you want to buy a Honda Fit, you pay a lot less tax. So right now, if there was a chance, I would reduce the property tax and raise the sales tax in offsetting amount, but that was just based on a philosophy. I would not upset the revenue collections that we're currently enjoying. And so that's a philosophical answer. So the answer, short answer is no.
I am actually against raising taxes. I think that with our property values going up, the income that the county will receive from those revenues will be sufficient, and as long as we're diligent and the state leaves us alone, we'll be fine. The quarter-cent sales tax will sunset in 4 years, and I am not interested in continuing that. I think we need to live within our means, just as you and I do in our personal budgets, and so my answer obviously is no, I am not going to raise taxes.
Since you are both Republican candidates, what have you done to support the Republican Party in Mohave County?
I've been a lifelong Republican. In Mohave County, I have been a PC for 12 years. I have been a president of this club for 4 years. Prior to that, I was 4 terms. I apologize. But it's still 4 years. I have, as I said, I was a PC. I have knocked on doors. I have made phone calls for Republican candidates. I have represented us at the AZFRW and NFRW, twice for NFRW and many, many times for AZFRW. I do go to their quarterly meetings, and I support Republican candidates. Thank you.
I support the Republican Party by pushing Republican principles. Like I said earlier, I've never voted for a tax increase. When it comes to your Second Amendment rights, there was firmly a rule that says you couldn't protect yourself in a county building. We got rid of that rule because you have a right under the Constitution to protect yourself. We had a First Amendment right, but the county at that particular time said you couldn't wear an American flag hat or American flag t-shirt or hold up a placard saying Steve Moss is a lousy supervisor. We got rid of those rules. As a Republican, it's important that the common working man know that we support them. We're doing that via economic development. We are not a party that's detached. We're not the party of the rich and the wealthy and the elite. Those are the Rockefeller Republicans and the Kennedys who live some kind of fantasy land. We have to support our individual citizens' rights. We have to keep government small by avoiding taxes, and we have to conduct ourselves as conservatives so the people trust the Republican Party. We can't just talk, we have to do.
Okay, do we have any questions from the audience?
Steve, on that dot foods subsidy, what is the wage that those 170 people will have to pay? I've never seen the conditions of the contract. I'd like to actually take a look at the contract.
I can get you a copy of that, Ron, if you send me your email.
Okay.
So I'll get you a copy. But in general, I think there was 2 questions in your statement. When it comes to Dot Foods, they get $500,000 from Mohave County paid over 3 years as they hit certain benchmarks. When they construct their facility, when they hire the first 70 employees, when they get up to 120 employees, and finally, when they get to 177 employees. So as they hit benchmarks, they get part of that $500,000 released to them. The average wage that the 177 employees would be paid is roughly $44,000 and change plus benefits. When it comes to the economic investment, that came not from regular recurring general fund revenue, that came from a holiday on the EBT money. So it was a one-time collection of monies that we had, it was fortuitous, that we could actually compete for the dot food projects and bring them in here. And as a practical matter, as a common sense matter, it pays us back in 3 years. And so we're going to get 177 residents who are going to have middle income jobs and will be able to afford a middle income lifestyle and provide for their children for money that we're going to get back because we brought them here. I thought it was common sense, I thought it was a good move, and I'll do it again.
Is the 144 written into the contract?
177 you mean?
No, you said the average wage was about $44,000 plus benefits. Is that in the contract?
It's through the ACA, and yes, I believe it is.
Thank you.
I'll get you a copy of
I
that.
appreciate it. RonGould.com.
Do you have any other questions?
This question is for Sue. So I understand that you're against raising taxes, and I've heard you say a few times that we should all live within our means. So I'm wondering how you reconcile that. I know that when you were in the legislature, you co-sponsored a bill with a Democrat to allow in-state tuition, to pay for in-state tuition for refugees coming to our country. So if we're living within our means and we're not raising taxes, how do we do those kind of projects?
There was one person that was being brought in as a refugee. She was vetted. She was a college student. She could come to this country, and she was in this country without any education. She would be on the welfare rolls, and we would be taking care of her, and that legislation was for one person. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm responding to that point. There's an issue that attorneys and judges have to grapple with sometimes, which is that heart-tugging facts often result in bad law. So even though it's extremely sympathetic, writing laws for one person is generally not a good idea. I do understand where you're coming from, Sue. It is something which, you have this young lady whose life is upside down, but you're making a rule which is now going to apply for everybody. And that's not something we should go down.
I believe if you vet someone that's coming into this country and they're coming into this country legally, they have the right to an education. We do not need any more people on the tax rolls getting welfare when they can actually hold their own and become a contributing citizen of this country. That's what we're all about. We do welcome people immigrating to this country if they do it legally. And she did it legally. Others will do it legally. And I probably misspoke when I said it was for one person, but that was the example that was given. And sometimes when you legislate with your heart and your mind, and you study everything that's put in front of you, and sometimes they don't give you all the information, and sometimes they do. But I'm proud of my service at the Senate, and I'm proud of that bill. Thank you.
I have one question for Steve. Steve, are you going to continue your law practice on your supervisor?
I believe the question is more properly framed, and I can continue my ownership of a law practice. When I was first elected, I had 86 cases. I'm down to 3. I had 4 as of 2 weeks ago, where I took a pro bono case for a young man, and I finished it in a day, settling his personal injury case because he was a minor, and another lawyer wanted to take 40% of what was rather a small claim. So the answer is, that I will be a full-time supervisor. I will occasionally dabble in the law to help people as necessary. It takes 2 to 3 hours a week in the evening or a Saturday, and I do that occasionally to help people. I get 40 to 50 and sometimes 60 hours or more a week as a supervisor, because this is not a hard job, I'm not digging ditches, but it is time consuming. And I put every second I have to deal with the business of being a supervisor, and I do it well. I think I have an outstanding record as a supervisor, so thank you very much for your question.